Well, we're here today to discuss issues that we're finding on our firearms, being the Huldra and the Korstog firearms, with a lot of weapons being sent in with ammo issues. We're gonna call them ammo issues. Everybody thinks in the AR world that you can mix and match and piece things together, and now it looks like a complete rifle, and it's all supposed to work, and that's great, but it doesn't always mean that that's exactly how things work. A lot of people, if you're running brass cased ammo, we don't see near as many issues with brass case ammo as we do with the steel case ammo. However, we do see issues with weapons, all of our guns being 5.56 chambered, both in the piston drive Huldra system or the DI drive Korstog guns. They are all chambered in 5.56. 5.56 guns run at a higher pressure rate, much higher pressure rate than a 223 chambered weapon does. So there's a lot of manufacturers of weapons and or upper systems out there that they're chambered in 223. Also, in a DI, more forgiving. Piston drive systems, the guns, because they demand a little more gas, are going to be a little more ammo sensitive. So it's really good to run 5.56 ammo in a 5.56 chambered gun. Yes, you can run 223 ammo in a 5.56 chambered gun, but be aware, A, the ammo may be weak or underpowered and not want to cycle the system. Piston drive systems also, by nature of the beast, have more carrier tilt when the carrier is moving back and forth in the receiver. Oftentimes, when that carrier is moving back and forth in the piston drive system, the piston actually tilts the carrier a little bit more. So as that carrier comes up, sometimes there's contact made with the cam pin up in the upper portion of the receiver, and you see metal shavings in there. Often on a new weapon, yes, you'll see it. It slows down after a little bit of time and really, for the most part, isn't an issue. Oftentimes we see more of an issue with the fact that as this carrier is moving back and forth, we see people that have built their lower, or they bought a lower, or it's a lower from some other manufacturer that has a commercial style buffer tube on it, so that when this carrier actually comes back into the buffer tube, because our carriers are actually physically larger than many others, they won't enter the buffer tube very well, so you get resistance in there, which slows them down. Oftentimes you see people saying, well, my gun is not feeding, or it's short stroking, it's having cycling issues, and many times we see that that's part of the culprit, is the buffer tube is impinging on the operation of the bolt carrier itself and its ability to move back and forth in the receiver. We also see issues with buffer springs being too weak, different buffers being used in carbine or mid-length or rifle length systems. So people need to be aware of when they purchase the system, whether it's chambered in 223, chambered in 5.56, run appropriate ammo, and you'll have fewer problems. Another thing that we see in huge as far as the ammo problems go, with steel-cased ammo, there's a number of different manufacturers. There are manufacturers that are US manufacturers that manufacture steel-cased ammunition. We have had zero problems with US manufactured ammunition. Most of the ammunition problems that we experience are on the foreign manufactured stuff. And a lot of times what it is first, the lacquer coatings on the ammunition, depending on whose manufacturer it is. Sometimes you see sealant around the base of the bullet at the case mouth on the case. You'll also see sealant on the head of the case around the primer. Well, as the rounds are going bang in the weapon, that lacquer doesn't just dissipate. It actually starts building up in the chambers. The sealant from the primer starts building up in the chambers. And we find a lot of weapons, uppers, systems, with rounds sticking in the chamber. I take a weapon in, I bring it in with failure to feeds, failure to cycle, rounds sticking in the chamber, and I can take my flashlight, shine it in the end of the receiver and look down into the chamber, and I see the chamber just full of corrosion, full of lacquer mung, and it's no reason, no big surprise why it's not cycling. The weapon is just extremely dirty. And oftentimes people say, well, I clean it, yes, but they don't necessarily clean it appropriately. So I take a weapon in, an upper, it gets cleaned out, I take it in the range in the armory, and a lot of times I cycle all kinds of ammunition with no issues. It gets reclaimed, go back out to the customer. So we always tell the customer on the Huldra website there is a cleaning video, field cleaning video, that helps people really tell quickly and easily how to properly clean a weapon system and solve the issue of corrosive ammo. And we get the comment a lot from people, well, the box of ammo says non-corrosive. Well, first off, I don't believe the box. Even if the powder is non-corrosive, most likely the primers are, and you get a lot of corrosion in the chambers, maybe less around the gas system. But again, we get lots and lots of gas plugs and drive rods in that are fused together because the customer says, I cleaned it, but they still didn't neutralize the corrosive salts in the primers and or the corrosive powder that's used in the ammo, even though the box says non-corrosive. So people need to watch for that. Corrosive ammo, lacquer coatings, primer sealant. Another issues, even on a real clean weapon, the foreign-made ammunition, again, it's less expensive than the US manufactured stuff like Hornady, the steel match, very good quality ammunition. But on the sizing dies of the manufactured stuff that's done overseas, foreign, I don't think their sizing dies necessarily are always up to par. And what happens is if it's not properly sized, it won't go into the chamber. Or as it's fired, because again, it's not properly sized and it's just a mild taper to the case, they tend to come just part way out of the chamber and then stop. That's due to lack of proper sizing and or sealant buildup in the chambers. Hard primers, certainly 5.56 ammo is designed to have hardened primers. Oftentimes in the 5.45 systems, we see people, they bought an upper, they put it on their lower, they forget to install the extra power hammer spring that's supplied with it, or many times if I get a system, a whole system comes in with lower and upper, they've installed the hammer spring, but oftentimes they put the hammer spring in backwards, so it doesn't work real well. So people need to make sure that they watch video again on the Huldra website that shows them how to properly install their hammer spring so that the systems work. Other issues that we see with weapons coming in are people comment to me, well, I run this crappy ammo in my Colt and it cycles just fine. And I'm not picking on Colt, but a lot of weapons are built to much looser tolerances. Our tolerances are very tight. So if you have a tight tolerance weapon and very loose tolerance ammo, it's easy to have a lot of problems. So again, pay attention to the ammo, buy good quality, clean ammo. Buffer springs, buffers, buffer tubes, I mentioned earlier, can have a big difference on how the carrier is running in the system and how it allows the gas to run the bolt. So those issues need to be paid attention to. Sometimes if you buy a 5.56 gun and you do want to run the real inexpensive, cheap foreign-made ammo, sometimes you may need to look to actually going to a reduced power buffer spring in your buffer that are available from a variety of different places. Remember to install your hammer springs accordingly so that you don't get the weak or incorrect hits on your primers. So in recapping, the biggest thing that people really need to pay attention to, first and foremost, cleaning your weapon, cleaning properly. Watch the cleaning videos on the Huldra website. It'll teach you how to neutralize the corrosive salts if you really, really have to run that inexpensive foreign-made ammunition in your weapon. We really encourage people to use 5.56 type ammo, US manufactured ammo. or at least the federal AR ammunition in your DI or piston drive guns. Again, clean, clean, clean. Watch the videos. If you have a question, you're completely open to sending us an email at service@millshooting.com, or you can give us a call, 218-822-2804, or even go to the Huldra websites and get information there. But clean your weapon thoroughly after you're done shooting. Pay attention to the type of ammo that you're purchasing. Buy good quality ammo. And also be aware of how your weapon is set up, the type of buffer springs, buffer tubes, especially if you're putting two different parts together, somebody else's lower versus another person's upper, because not always do things mix and match and work appropriately. Good shooting.